In this episode, we interview Robert Danielson, the CMO of Repsports, a parent company that owns a bunch of health brands, one of them being the eight-figure brand Raze Energy. It's an energy drink brand across the United States. Now, Robert and I discuss how to scale a brand to 8 figures in sales when you're working with both retail and online channels and how they work together in perfect harmony to build these massive companies. Finally, Robin talks about the brand awareness and how he does crazy things with influencer marketing. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I just saw on my Instagram story, Summer Rae, a massive influencer, was having a birthday party and they open the garage door and there's a massive crate of energy drinks that is Robin's product sitting right there that ends up getting distributed across all of these different influencers' Instagrams just because it was such a wacky thing to happen at this party. So enjoy the episode, guys. Hope you learn a lot and we'll talk soon. Awesome. Welcome to the show, Robin. How's it going?
It's going great. Glad to be here. Excited.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. So tell everyone what you do, what you're currently working on and how it all started.
Yeah, for sure. So right now I'm the CMO of Repsports. We have an energy drink, Raze Energy, as well. Just launched a protein popcorn, a protein food snack brand, G-Pop Foods. Have a few other things on the side, but those are the main things for right now.
Awesome, dude. It sounds like you're super busy. So is it one parent company running all these subsidiary brands, or how is that structured?
Yeah, so we have one parent company that's actually the manufacturing plant that we have is the parent company. So we do some contract manufacturing as well, but the brands are each their own brand underneath that parent company.
Excellent. So let's kind of dive deep into the details because you're mentioning manufacturing, which is something completely different to what most people talk about on marketing or e-commerce podcasts. So kind of give us a rundown on what happens on the operational side, because you guys are front facing in terms of retail and online, but you're also doing operational stuff like manufacturing, which not many people do.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. From the procurement of actually the raw ingredients and everything, all the way through the GMP certification and all the federal stuff, all the way through to making the actual drinks or products and then getting them out. So there's a good amount there, but really at the end of the day, for manufacturers that we had out there, and then we also just really wanted the extra profit margin that came from actually being able to make it all in-house. So from doing all the flavors and all that kind of stuff, we really wanted a product that was better than whatever else was out there and needed the margins to be healthier as well. So we ended up, building it internal.
Awesome. And how did that happen? Or even before we get into that, how did all of this start? Where are your roots? What's your background?
So, I mean, I started online when I was in middle school. A friend of mine at the time showed me this site where you could fill out some surveys to, make a buck here. It was called Cash Crate, I think. Right. I'm sure it might still be around even, but you would take these little surveys or do a free trial to something and make some money. Very early on, I realized that I was like, why are they paying me $1.50 to fill out this email submit to win a free, iPad or whatever the CPA offer was. And so kind of went down the rabbit hole of the whole online marketing, and really the CPA world at that time. Ended up starting to go to my friends and got them involved. So we'd go to McDonald's or go to Panera and they would fill out my offers on Wi-Fi and make me a few bucks, and then we'd go to the next one. So from that went into the whole make money online kind of world, a lot of email marketing. And then in college is really when I kind of picked up steam in terms of really getting more into the supplement side of things and more of the real e-com, and started a supplement brand in college. I saw a free trial offer, the affiliate marketing CPA muscle offer on Facebook. And I was like, hey, I've seen that on a network before. So I ended up becoming an affiliate for it, made, a good amount of money in a few weeks, and was like, all right, forget about this. I'm going to do my own thing and start it myself. A lot of failures along the way in that process, a lot of stuff I didn't know. But from then on, I've just been really starting brands and trying to build them all and use them all through paid media has been the main thing, but that's kind of the catalyst there.
Awesome. So what was the first brand that you guys kicked off then in that case that was your own, and how did that look starting out?
Yeah, my first one was called Ripped Fuel X. That lasted about 2 months until the owner of the trademark of Ripped Fuel ended up sending me a cease and desist. I got a letter in the mail at a freshman year of college, got a letter that said, hey, we own. It was a very legal letter, and I was, scared shitless, and it said something to the tune of, for violating this trademark where you owe us $1 million, basically. And I was like, oh, I don't have 1 million. I've barely done anything yet. This is 2 months in. So ended up not doing anything, didn't respond to them, and just changed the name to Alpha Fuel X. Got the trademark for that, actually, so learned my lesson there. And then kind of went on from there. But yeah, so the very first one was just a testosterone booster. Alpha Fuel X ended up being the main name. And after about 8 months or so, ended up selling that, actually, and then moving on and making another, and did that a few times in terms of building up these smaller supplement sites, flipping them on Flippa, and then making another, and kind of doing the same thing for a few times to stack my chips, as it were.
Awesome. So diving into the details so that like the listeners can understand what the full process is. How do you start when you want to create one of these brands? Do you start with sourcing a manufacturer and designing a website and stuff like that, and then how does that translate over time into sales, of course? And then finally, if you wouldn't mind sharing, those sales, how does that equate to an acquisition or actually selling a company, which is something that not too many people talk about, which would be awesome.
Yeah, so it was in the early days before, obviously now having the manufacturing very different. But when I first started out, really I found private label supplement manufacturers. So these are manufacturers that already have formulas that they just white label. So you give them a design and they'll slap their label on, or your label on it, and then it goes out the door. A lot of them have fulfillment houses internally as well, so you can actually pay for them to make the product as well as actually deliver it to the customers. So early on, it was contract manufacturing is where I found the products. For me, what I had decided early on was I wanted something that, one, I knew was working. So I basically just ripped the same kind of product that I was an affiliate for, modified it slightly, or found a formula that I liked a little bit better than what they were selling. Mainly, I wanted something that actually the customer could feel. So it had a little niacin and a little caffeine in it. So the placebo effect is one of the best effects in science. But that's, so ended up finding the product, getting a name, and then it was building a site. So I ended up going on 99 Designs Gigs and found offers that other people were already running and that were proven, gave them those 3 designs that I found, and then he kind of made an amalgamation of all 3, and we were off to the races. Started some ads, and it kind of worked pretty early on. But really the site and the product was the first 2 main things there, and then obviously it's kind of getting traffic there and being able to have the back end in place to fulfill orders, to send emails, and do all of that.
Awesome. And then you sold these sites, right? So how roughly kind of what multiple can you get on the revenue that you're doing? Because I'd imagine this was extremely direct response and not so much branded or returning customers, right? Because of your background in CPA. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. So the nice part was that they were recurring customers in the sense of it was a trial into a monthly subscription product. And I was lucky enough to have a few people early on when I got into this space who kind of coached me in the right direction. There's multiple sides of the CPA and free trial industry. So from very black hat and very dirty all the way to more branded and actually run the right way. I was kind of gray. I wasn't really on either side, but I was able to at least build a few back-end offers and a few real subscriptions that was able to extend the lifetime value of the customer. So the recurring revenue on it was pretty good. I ended up getting I believe it was 13 EBITDA, so basically 13 times my net monthly on that, and sold it on Flippa. So it was my second site, but first kind of bigger sale through Flippa, and it worked out fine. It had a lot of people. There's a lot of time wasters on there, so I'm not sure I would do it again. But it ended up finding someone who had enough money and understood the model enough to make it work. So,
and that is a pretty massive multiple for e-commerce in particular. So I'd imagine it's mostly dependent on the ongoing recurring subscription and the lifetime value, right?
Yeah, so since the subscription was actually working well, so we had a good stick rate and the churn wasn't too bad. The other thing that the people who bought it wanted was the fact that they were an Amazon brand and they actually already had some separate e-com stuff. We were only doing Facebook into our straight sale or into our trial and into the recurring, and had really nothing outside of that ecosystem. So they kind of saw it as a potential to take it over and push it onto Amazon and add some of these pieces to the pie that really allowed them to pay a higher multiple. But the fact that our CPAs were so much lower than a lot of the other people in the space, so a typical network would pay an affiliate about $45 for a trial sale. On the other side, we were our own affiliate as opposed to these other advertisers who were paying affiliates. We were getting about $10 CPA in the early days of Facebook, and that was amazing. So the ROI obviously was really good on the on the ad spend. So it worked out well. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And then that brings you to where you are now with Repsports and stuff. So how did that get started? Was it just the one product, and then what did that branch into? And then how did that arrive at Raze Energy?
Yeah. So I had a few different products. In between there, we had a few other sites that we kind of combined and sold. And so I was kind of out of mini retired, so to speak, doing a few just side projects. And actually went to a mastermind out in California and found a friend who are now partner, Chris, who's the CEO right now. And he had his own brand, NutriKey, that was already, he had set up for more retail side of things for the wholesale and retailers. And I was fully online. So we ended up talking a lot more and, I came on board and partnered with him on that side. And then the extension into Repsports that was just getting started, and Raze Energy that was just getting started, all in the retail side of things. And I kind of came on board to take it to the online space and direct to consumer. And really the need there was, or the transition to Raze was that really dietary supplements is not as sexy of an industry, or it's kind of dying in the retail space. A lot of the supplement stores are hurting in general, so it's all going online, a lot going to either direct response or places like Amazon and stuff. So Chris at the time had the idea to go into Raze as a growing segment of the market, going into energy drinks and really being able to differentiate outside of just these dietary supplements. So ended up going with that, and it's been really good.
Awesome. And so being involved in kind of an omni-channel or a multi-channel approach, how does the retail stuff, I'd imagine there's like a symbiotic relationship between the retail and the online, and they would both feed off each other and impact each other. What kind of impact are you seeing, and how do they work together?
For sure, there's definitely parts of it that it's helpful, parts of it that they kind of fight against each other. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there in terms of how they kind of play together. But certainly the overflow effect from anything online is massive. It's a lot higher than I ever thought it would be. Coming into this a few years ago, it's incredible to see how much online actually impacts the retail sales. So you have one side of it where obviously we're mostly focused on the direct response and ROI focused ads, because that's just kind of where I came from, and to me it never really makes sense to go the traditional just awareness approach, and I never understood it, and I can't get behind it to my core. So staying with the direct response, but being able to still get the awareness through something that actually gets is ROI positive day one, really was the focus, and being able to do this. And the branding and awareness that you get through these ads is huge. So one of the things that with the original Alpha Fuel sale, when they tried to go to Amazon, and realizing how much revenue that started generating for them, as I had sold it, but was still kind of mentoring them, showing them some of the back end of the business. I saw like, oh wow, they had an immediate spike of sales on Amazon. Their ads, every time they scaled ads, the Amazon sales increase. And so that was kind of my first taste into how much overflow there is outside of just going to your site and either clicking buy or not. So and the same is true for retail, and it's really the case. We can see when we've targeted specific states where we have a good chunk of retailers. So we did this for Texas and California as two examples, and really scaled our ad spend in just those two states. And we could see the direct correlation to our GNC or specialty shop sales was increasing as we increased the ad spend. So it's really a very direct correlation for online kind of advertising to the retail overflow. On the flip side, the hard part is you don't want to steal customers from these retailers who are supporting you and buying your stuff, and they also want to pull new customers into their store. So not having to, or not doing too many sales, or not pushing or pulling too many people from those local markets online is a challenge that they, are very wary of, and something that we have to play the relationship game on, making sure we're, obviously still trying to be direct response and make money, but not, piss off all these retailers who are supporting you at the same time.
I see. It's super interesting, and balancing that fine line, I guess, starts becoming really important. Cool. So let's take a quick pause and just move into out of the spotlight segment. So what are your favorite podcasts, YouTube channels, or people whose content you consume, or masterminds? Because you mentioned you went to a mastermind earlier.
Yeah, for sure. So I like a lot of outside of the traditional, I guess, marketing podcasts a lot. So I'm very into like the Tim Ferriss podcast or Peter Attia's Drive, really stuff that they get into the details and into the weeds of stuff, and where they're interviewing other people. So those are two big ones for me. I like Ryan Moran's like 1% podcast is good, and there are a few others just around, but those would probably be my top three at the moment.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, back to the conversation with the retail and the online and what you're doing at the moment. So how are you guys approaching the online side of things now in terms of customer acquisition? How does everything look there?
Yeah, so we're very focused. Social is probably 80% right now of our traffic. We're continuing to try and diversify outside of that, getting a lot more into native platforms and some push and stuff like that. But really, our bread and butter is kind of from the last 10 years has been social. We focus a lot on customer acquisition. So for us, a lot of our products and the products that we're moving towards are very much low dollar. So supplements have high dollar and high margin. Things like energy drinks and snack foods and stuff have a lot lower ticket price. The margin's still good, but takes a lot more people and a lot more sales to influence the entire market as a whole in retail, but also to get the returns online. So we focus a lot on any kind of customer acquisition. So we do a lot of giveaway ads, a lot of leads, and we can get an email set on. And then a lot of sample boxes. So we'll send sample boxes of our energy drink or sample boxes of our protein popcorn or whatever else it is, and really use email, follow-up ads, SMS, all that kind of stuff to nurture after the fact. But for us, it's we need someone to have that product and try it, and then we have a much more higher likelihood of them going into a store and seeing it, and then, hey, I might as well pick this up, or just being able to influence them much more.
Cool. So by the sounds of it, it's not necessarily profitable on the first touch point, right? So are you guys, how long does it take typically to monetize and make your money back and then start making a profit?
For sure, yeah. So we've with the energy drinks, it's been hard. The price or the dollar ticket is so low, and then the price to ship it is so high that it has been hard to get that day one profit where it needs to be. Right now, we're actually about break even with our CPA. So on our sample funnel for the energy drink. So we're about day one break even, which is actually great. We're starting to really ratchet up that ad spend because of that. It's been the case that we started out losing around $10 per customer that we got in there. And it took about 2 months or so for that to turn back around and get ROI positive or break even. Now we've shortened that to about day one. It really varies depending on the funnel. We're okay as long as we know where we're coming in at. So around 3 months right now is where we're comfortable going in the red for, as long as, again, we know our numbers there. But overall, the goal is always to get to the day zero.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm sure people that are listening to this are probably thinking, right, if you're in the red, then why are you even running the business and how does it work? Because you mentioned ramping up the ad spend when you're at break even, right? Can you just explain to the people at home, how does all of that work and why are you willing to lose money or even break even at scale with your advertising?
Yeah, so there's multiple reasons. And one is kind of what we already talked about, is the overflow. So one thing that we've not taken into account on that is anything that's organically, quote unquote, organically coming in through Amazon, organically coming in through retail partners and stores. And then even outside of that, stores that see our ads and then realize, hey, I want to carry this product and bring it into their into their location. So that's one side of it that it's hard for us to measure without doing those tests where we isolate a state, but we don't really want to isolate a state right now. We're trying to go as big as possible. So it's hard for us to really quantify that number. So as long as break even, we know that's something, whether it's 1% overflow, whether it's 20% overflow, there's something that's, going outside of what we're measuring. Um, Outside of that, it's all about the customers for us. We are going to monetize them 10 ways to Sunday, and we're going to give them 10 offers on the back end. And really, it's data monetization is the name of the game when you're at scale and when you're in direct response. So if you can break even day one, while I have all of my abandoned carts, which I know I'm going to get at least 20% of those to take it through whatever my email sequence is, through some promotional offers, things like that. I know my repeat customer rate is at least 30% on the site. So if I give them a $10 coupon as their first purchase, thank you for grabbing your sample. Here's a $10 coupon. We know what our take rate is on that. So really, the whole thing is that day zero, if I can break even, that's amazing, because I have a customer who at least some percentage of them are going to buy again in the future. Now, my job as, the marketer, our marketing team's job is really to how many times can we convince them to continue to buy, and how can we shorten that cycle of purchase after the first one? What can we do to, keep them engaged with our company 6 months down the road? So a lot of that is through, we do new product launches or new flavors, things like that. But we know, anything that we bring in, there's going to be a percentage that we'll be able to, monetize down the road.
Mm-hmm. And so when you say monetize down the road, what sort of stuff do you actually do? Are you guys doing email marketing, SMS? Kind of break that down.
Yeah, so email, push, SMS, and just retargeting on Facebook or outside omnichannel, really. So we just started doing a little bit of direct mail. That's been interesting. So testing out a few things that aren't the traditional touch points, but the biggest is email. That's huge for us. So our email sequence never stops. If you're on our list, you're kind of there until you either opt out or you stop opening, I guess. But we're pretty much relentless on making sure that we're in the inbox and in giving someone the opportunity to buy. Really, that's at the end of the day. We don't know how often someone is ready to buy, and there's so many different variables. Did they get paid? Did they just stop at the grocery store already? Or did they just run out of, our product? Whatever it is, there's so many variables that our main focus is wanting to be in front of that customer at any time that they're realizing, hey, I want to make another purchase. So email, SMS, retargeting with social, all this kind of stuff is really painting the whole picture of it.
Yeah, direct mail's wacky. That's something I haven't heard of for like 10 years. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, we're just starting to test it. We in all of our packages, we do send like coupons and other stuff like that to our retailers to help push into those stores. So that kind of gave us a first. We realized, okay, that's about a 3% take rate on some of those coupons into a GNC. So doing the math, we were just sitting there thinking, like, there's so many people who we can't hit on Instagram or Facebook anymore. Facebook won't serve them. Okay, SMS, we can't just do too much because, one, people have to opt into it. Two, you can't hit a phone every day. It just gets really annoying really fast. Email, again, we're not in control of it. So a lot of times it can go to spam or, whatever else. So where else can we be in front of that person and give them an offer that they can't refuse? So the first thing we were starting out with testing was sending a gift card, basically, you won a $10 gift card, thanks for being a customer kind of thing. So first starting with our internal database, but shifting, or after testing this, we'll be shifting outside of that and really kind of trying similar stuff to what we do on Facebook, but in direct mail, just again, to try and be as far anywhere we can, outside of just the ability to actually reach more customers and get the ROI. The other aspect of it is very focused on the potential exit. So every kind of company in the past I've exited, and that's been kind of the goal and intent from the beginning, is to structure them and build them in a way that makes sense for someone to actually come in and purchase. And a huge thing on that is just the diversity of traffic. So if you're tied only to one medium, whether that's Google or Facebook or Snapchat, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If there's one platform you're tied to, you can't sell very easily, because that just becomes a huge linchpin that, okay, if Facebook stops working or if they ban you or whatever it is, then what do you do? And the investor or whoever's buying it doesn't know, because they haven't done it. They haven't been running the business. So the more you can really be everywhere and have different strategies, whether that, be different channels or even that be different offers to get someone in, the better everything, really works at the end of the day, and the more valuable it is.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. And a lot of what we've been talking about is like aggressive direct response marketing and talking about CPAs and stuff like that. But you mentioned the brand awareness thing before. I saw on Summer Rae's Instagram story a few months ago. She like opened up her garage, and out the front there was this massive crate of Raze Energy when she was having a party, and all these like influencers were posting it and stuff. Yeah, and that was epic. What sort of stuff are you doing on the brand awareness side?
Yeah, so we've similar to Summer Rae, we've had a lot of talks with higher level influencers. Haven't really, we've been flirting with a bunch of them and haven't really pulled the trigger on any yet. And then we have our own smaller, more the micro influencer ambassador programs as well. And then we do try and be pretty branded and have good content on social and stuff like that. Where we're trying to decide how heavily we want to really go into the higher level influencer space, kind of creating that snow teeth whitening effect, if you will. And we actually, talked to Josh about this pretty in depth, just about the whole strategy and how it works and everything. One of the things that it seems key to the whole puzzle, though, is really having more eggs in all baskets, really. So when you're talking to Summer Rae, we could have done a deal with her and got her on board and everything. But if we didn't have a ton of other people in line to kind of drop at the same time, it just wouldn't be as effective. You kind of see it on one person. You're following, let's say, Summer Rae, and you see that she posts about Raze. Okay, but it's kind of an ad, whatever. But then when you see Summer Rae doing it, and you see Jake Paul doing it, and you see whoever else is doing it, the effect is just magnitude every single time that you see that extra person. So everyone you're really seeing having huge success with these macro level influencers is really the Snow Teeth Whitenings, the Fabletics, the Gymshark, all these brands who have tons and tons of people at the same time, and really creates that aura effect of everyone is talking about it, everyone's posting. So we're in development phase to really have a big splash with it, but not quite there yet on that macro side.
Awesome.
So definitely that's always kind of in the back of our mind is we're very direct response focused, but how can we continue to build a brand and kind of that cult following? And for us, a lot of that comes in on the email side and the customer retention side. So really heavily trying to influence that customer and really get them into our brand and our family, more so than the outward facing, but that will change as we continue to scale here.
Exciting, man. Exciting things ahead. That's incredible. Awesome, man. So time for show and tell. What's the best purchase you've ever made under $100? It can be a piece of tech, a book, digital product, whatever.
For sure. Yeah, honestly, I have these, I just bought them off Amazon. They were $20, but an eye mask that I sleep with at night. And that's probably my favorite purchase recently, because I'm a terrible sleeper, and or just falling asleep is just the hardest for me. And our room does not have blackout shades or anything, and I need to start getting those. But the eye mask has been crucial for me to actually have a much better night's sleep. And it seems very small, but having a better night's sleep is incredible.
That's very cool. Did it take a while to get used to? Because you're like wearing this thing on your face that.
It did a little bit. It didn't take it was a few days, but and now it's hard to sleep without it. But the main thing was that I had another one that was a cheap, just kind of silk that went across, but my eyelashes would like hit the side of it or the front of it, when they were just fluttering, I guess. So the ones I have a little bit of padding in between the socket, so it actually is slightly raised, and that, yeah, it's been nice.
I see. Have you seen the Facebook ads going around of that big like device thing that people are wearing to like take power naps? Have you seen those? It's like this new weird thing. I think they've got a bunch of affiliates on it, like kind of like the Upright Go as well. And I mean, it's just going nuts, but I see the ads and it's ridiculous because they put like these massive goggles on, and then just sleep on the spot wherever they are for like 15 minutes. It's weird. I can't imagine. I'm not a very good napper, but they certainly help at night. So I can imagine it works if you can get used to the strap or whatever the big thing is on your. Yeah, sick. Awesome, man. So take us through a day in the life of the CMO of Repsports. What do you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep? Yeah,
so when I wake up, it's just a simple routine. I get some food and grab an energy drink out the fridge. I generally wake up around 8, so I'm not a 6 a.m. kind of guy. I tried that lifestyle and it just wasn't wasn't for me. So I'm a I'm a 12 or to 1 and get up at 8 or 9, and then generally go to the gym in the morning, and from there head to our office, which is at the manufacturing plant that we have in Orlando, Florida here. So typically get in around 10 or so, and then kind of check in with the team. And right now I'm doing all the Facebook ads and everything. So the kind of first thing is kind of checking on that and whatever tests we were running, how did those perform and how did that look? Then it's kind of getting with the marketing team and our video and graphics guys to just see whatever, if we need new ads or whatever is kind of on the docket. Always have different social media skits or stuff that we need for retailers or new emails or new promos. So always kind of something on the docket for everyone. And then, so around 1 o'clock or so, I kind of finished up the morning or daily tasks, kind of the smaller stuff. Around that time is when transition into a lot of bigger picture stuff. So talking with partner Chris, CEO, just general strategy depending on what's going on. So might be a new flavor launch we have and how we're kind of gonna spin this, what the name's gonna be, and how we're really gonna push it out there. Most lately, it's been a lot of preparation for our Vitamin Shop launch. So I assume by the time this comes out, we'll already be in Vitamin Shop and live there. But so a lot of that is just kind of how we coordinate that launch. How do we really want to target all the Vitamin Shop people from doing Snapchat ads, because we can actually target Vitamin Shop, to getting our influencers lined up to post or to go into stores and things of that nature. And then out of there around 6 o'clock or so, and then it's dinner and back onto the computer, depending on what needs to be created. So it really depends on the needs, but I'm pretty much kind of in everything. So whether it's building funnels or creating new email copy and all that kind of stuff, it's a lot of pieces I'm checking out from some of our copywriters or our funnel guy, and making sure it works right, but also kind of getting to do it myself, because we can't really move fast enough. So one of the things, just hiring and keep training, I guess, comes in there too, because we've continued to have a lot of new hires on the team, so we can move faster. But without the team, I'm still in their day to day, and I think I'm kind of wired that way. So I don't know if I'll ever be out of the minutia day to day. But that's kind of the typical day. It's not all too glamorous. It's just kind of checking in with the team and making sure we're moving one step forward every day.
Yeah. So your work-life balance is more work balance, realistically.
It's mostly work. Yeah, that's for sure.
Epic. How is your team structured? Being both online and offline or retail brand, how do things look on that side?
Yeah. So we have about 50 people, a little over, depending on some of the flex labor that we have, at the plant. About 30 of those are more geared in the manufacturing and sales team. So partner Chris, he handles more, and we have an operations manager as well, but he handles more of some of the operations side. And then have a VP of sales who has some of their sales team that are on the road, and a couple who are in-house who actually have accounts for these retail stores and are calling, either placing orders to put the energy drink in their store, or they're getting new orders from new stores, or trying to close different retailers. So have about 6 people on the sales side, and then a good number in the operations and manufacturing, and then about 10 who are more in marketing. So have a full-time graphics guy or 2 graphics guys, and someone like me, a media buyer and funnel builder, a full-time video guy, someone who's in charge of our ambassador program, a few other random pieces sprinkled in there, and then one of the more important pieces, he doesn't get enough credit, but our flavor and our formulator guy. So he makes all our amazing products and everything. So we kind of tucked him in the corner, but he's he's very crucial.
Who tests the flavors? Who's lucky enough
so
to do
that's
that?
everyone. He's the first
Everyone.
one, but then we have group testing. So we'll have shot glasses out for each different variation, and they're all just labeled with a number or ABC, and then have to blind rate them and see the combinations and everything. It's a very long process. The flavors are so subjective that it really takes a lot of work and trying it over and over again. And then you might like one thing on the first sip, but then if you have a full bottle of it, it tastes like shit. So it's like it's a lot of trial and error at the moment to try and really get something we like. We've leaned into how great our flavors are, and we've had some pretty good success on our recent launches of flavors. So we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot that it's we keep having to beat the last flavor. So it's becoming harder and harder to release new products, but we'll get there.
Yeah, cool, man. It sounds like you have a lot of fun at work, which is epic.
Yeah, it's a good amount. I have about 3 years ago, it was all from then. Before, it was all kind of at home. I had my own office, and all my employees were freelancers and remote, or I was doing most things myself. So it's been an interesting transition going kind of back to the, or I guess I never started at the office life, but going into the office life and going in daily and stuff. But it's fun being around people. So it's it's haven't had it for so long, and then having it again is a big change. But is nice to be around a team who actually you can feel the energy and all trying to push forward and have the same goal.
Love it, man. Love it. So as we wrap things up, where can people find you?
I'm not all that public, so you're my first or I'm the first podcast here. So on Facebook I'm Robin Danielson. You can find Raze Energy or Repsports online or on Instagram. And I'm on Instagram, Robin Danielson as well. But yeah, just the brands are pretty much where you'll find my work. But outside of that, it'll be Facebook or Instagram to see me directly.
The whole objective of this podcast is to really bring the people that are behind the curtains into the spotlight, that are doing epic things that we haven't heard of. Because most of the time, a lot of the people that people starting out, and also the people in like the low to mid 7 figures, the people they're listening to are the people that they see in their Facebook feeds as sponsored posts and ads and stuff like that, and no one really gets the opportunity to hear directly from the people that are doing it right now and on an epic level. So I'm not sure if you've got me there still or if we're lagging out a little. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Drop some absolute knowledge bombs and really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and definitely for anyone listening, I would say just overall just keep at it. And I think one of the things that I would leave here, I guess, with is definitely from coming up, and doing everything myself and having great wins and everything early on, but really there was a kind of stopping point that what I could do myself. So I would say just anyone out there who's that kind of that solopreneur and really getting their wins like you're talking about in that low 6-7 figure range and everything, really think about start building that team and some people around you to really get to the next level, because that's kind of been the key, I think, for success that I've had, and everything has been really surrounding myself and getting those A players onto the team to really take it to the next level. I know you didn't ask for any advice, but I would definitely that's something that I think I needed to hear a long time ago, and hopefully that helps people here.
Yeah, epic, man. And be unafraid to share responsibility, even though I don't know what I'm the same. One of my big blockers in the beginning was being scared to give someone else a job that I knew I would do better. Right?
Yeah, for sure. It's hard every day. Still, I have to train, and I say, I know I could just do that, but I have to like really force myself to take extra time and train, because next time, as long as you trusting the right person who's not gonna just forget what you just taught them, they're gonna be able to do it themselves. And really, that's the only way. It's really tough as that entrepreneur who's really done everything, kind of been in there and really in the trenches to give up that control. But at the end of the day, there's no way you can build, if you have big visions, there's no way you can build it alone. So you really need to find those people you can trust and build with. Yeah.
And the thing I tell people is, no human being on the planet, no matter how good, are going to do things exactly the way you want them. Only you, because it's the vision that you have in your mind. It can't be replicated or materialized. So even if someone does something 80% as good, that's much better than you doing a 100% job, because you're not going to be able to scale your 100%.
For sure. You can focus on the things, that you're the only one who can do, or whether that's even just training multiple people to do multiple things that you can do. You focus on that thing, and it's better at the end of the day to have 3 people working at 80%, like you're saying, than, yourself working at 100. It's just never gonna take you where you need to go.
Exactly, man. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Catch you, dude.
All right. See ya.